The mining ship Dehan's Pride was falling apart. Kang Wu watched the control panels flash red as alarms screamed through the corridors. The engine had exploded 3 hours ago, and now they were heading straight for a planet that looked like death itself. All crew to escape pods. Captain Lee shouted over the noise. But Wu knew the truth. Half the pods were damaged from the explosion. There weren't enough for everyone. The ship hit the planet's atmosphere like a rock thrown into water. Metal screamed and twisted. Fire ate through the walls. Wu felt himself thrown against the ceiling, then the floor, then nothing. When he woke up, everything was quiet. Too quiet. The ship was broken in half, scattered across a gray wasteland under a green sky. Wu crawled out of the wreckage, his left arm hanging useless at his side. Blood ran down his face, but he was alive. The others were not. Wu found 12 bodies in the first day. Captain Lee was crushed under a beam. Park Jin, his supervisor, had burns across his whole body. Young Kim from engineering was just 22. Wu dug graves with his good hand and a piece of broken metal. It took him 3 days. On the 4th day, the storms came. The wind carried acid that burned his skin. The rain was poison that made plants die where it touched. Wu wrapped himself in ship metal and waited. When the storm passed, he knew this planet wanted him dead. But Kang Wu had spent 15 years mining on dead worlds. He knew how to survive where nothing should live. He found the ship's water maker in the wreckage. It was broken but not beyond fixing. Wu took it apart and put it back together, using spare parts from 3 different machines. It took him 2 weeks, but clean water dripped out drop by drop. Food was harder. The planet had creatures that looked like giant spiders with too many teeth. They hunted in packs and could spit acid. But they were also meat, and Wu was hungry. He made spears from ship metal and learned to hunt. The first spider nearly killed him. It was fast and smart, and Wu's broken arm made him slow. But humans could think ahead. Wu dug a pit and covered it with thin metal. When the spider chased him, it fell through. 1 spear through the head and dinner was ready. The meat tasted terrible, but it kept him alive. Weeks became months. Wu's arm healed crooked but strong. His skin grew thick from the acid air. He learned which plants wouldn't kill him and which parts of the spiders were safe to eat. He even found a way to make the poison rain work for him, collecting it to melt metal for tools. The loneliness was the hardest part. Wu talked to the graves he had dug. He told Captain Lee about his day. He asked Park Jin for advice about fixing the radio. He promised Kim that someone would come looking for them. But as time passed, Wu began to doubt. Earth was so far away, no one knew where they had crashed. Maybe no one was even looking. On day 93, Wu tamed his first spider. It was small, probably young, with a broken leg. Instead of killing it, Wu fed it scraps of meat. The spider watched him with 8 black eyes but didn't run. Over days, it learned to come when Wu whistled. Soon, 3 more spiders joined the first one. Wu named them after his dead friends. Spider Lee was the brave one who attacked anything that threatened the group. Spider Jin was careful and smart, always finding the best hiding spots. Spider Kim was curious, always bringing Wu strange things it found. Having the spiders changed everything. They could smell danger before Wu could see it. They knew which plants were food and which were poison. They even helped him hunt the bigger creatures that came during the dark season. But the best thing about the spiders was that Wu wasn't alone anymore. On day 112, the sky lit up with fire. A ship was coming down, but not crashing like Wu's had. This one was under control, landing smooth as silk on the flat ground near his camp. The ship was silver and shaped like a teardrop. Nothing like the human ships Wu knew. Aliens. Wu grabbed his spear and called his spiders. If these aliens were hostile, he would fight. If they were friendly, maybe they could help. Either way, he wasn't going to hide. The ship's door opened with a soft hiss. 3 figures stepped out, tall and thin with blue skin and 4 arms. They wore white uniforms with symbols Wu didn't recognize. One of them pointed a device at him that beeped and flashed. The leader stepped forward. She had kind eyes and moved slowly, hands open to show she meant no harm. When she spoke, a collar around her neck translated her words into perfect Korean. "We are Altruians," she said. "I am Captain Veltari. Our sensors detected energy signatures from your crash site. We came to investigate." Wu looked at the aliens, then at his camp. He had built a house from ship parts. His water maker hummed quietly. His tame spiders sat around him like loyal dogs. Everything showed months of hard work and smart thinking. "I am Kang Wu," he said. "Mining engineer from the ship Dehan's Pride. These are my friends." He pointed to the spiders. Captain Veltari's eyes went wide. She said something quick in her own language to the others. One of them, wearing medical symbols, rushed forward with a scanner. "How long have you been here?" Veltari asked. 112 days. Alone? The others died in the crash. The medical officer looked shocked. She ran her scanner over Wu, then over the spiders, then over the camp itself. She talked fast to Captain Veltari in their alien language. "Dr. Nira says this should be impossible," Veltari translated. "This planet is classified as uninhabitable. The atmosphere is toxic. The wildlife is extremely dangerous. No known species can survive here for more than a few days." Wu shrugged. "I'm human. We're hard to kill." Captain Veltari looked around the camp again. The house built from wreckage, the working water maker, the tame spiders, the neat graves with stones marking each one. "Will you come with us?" she asked. "We have medical facilities, food that won't poison you, a way to contact your people." Wu looked at the graves. "I need to take something first." He went to each grave and collected the personal items he had saved from his dead friends. Captain Lee's wedding ring, Park Jin's family photo, Kim's engineering medal. Small things, but important. "They trusted me to bring them home," Wu explained. "I couldn't save their lives, but I can save their memory." Captain Veltari watched him work. Something in her expression changed. When Wu was ready, she helped him carry the precious items to her ship. As they lifted off, Wu watched his camp disappear below. One human had survived where none should have lived. But more importantly, one human had refused to forget his friends. The rescue was just the beginning. The Altruian medical ship Healing Light was the most advanced hospital in 3-star systems. Dr. Nira had treated hundreds of species from across the galaxy, but she had never seen anything like Kang Wu. "His bone density is incredible," she told Captain Veltari as they watched Wu through the medical bay window. "His muscles are adapting to our artificial gravity in real time. And look at this." She showed Veltari the scan results. When he arrived, he had 17 different toxins in his blood from that planet. His liver is processing all of them like they're nothing. Most species would be dead from just one of these poisons. Wu sat on the medical bed wearing clean clothes for the first time in months. He was talking to Ensign Kef, teaching the young Altruian how to play a human card game using pieces of paper. Both of them were laughing. "He's been here 2 days," Veltari said. "Already half the crew knows his name." Dr. Nira nodded. "It's not just his biology that's unusual. Watch how he interacts with people. He remembers everyone's name. He asks about their families. Yesterday, he helped engineer Tolmax fix the food processor just because he saw Tolmax was frustrated." "The food processor has been broken for weeks," Veltari said. "Exactly. Wu fixed it in an hour using spare parts and what he called basic mining tricks." Dr. Nira pulled up another screen. "I've been studying human culture through our databases. They have something called work ethic that seems to be genetic." In the medical bay, Wu was now showing Ensign Kef how to fold paper into shapes. The young Altruian's 4 hands made the work easier, but Wu patiently explained each step. "The crew efficiency reports are fascinating," Dr. Nira continued. "Since Wu arrived, productivity is up 18% across all departments. People are working harder, but they seem happier about it. How is that possible?" He tells stories about his mining crew on Dahan's Pride. How they worked together, helped each other, never left anyone behind. Our crew is starting to adopt those same behaviors. Captain Veltari had noticed the change too. Crew members were staying late to help their colleagues finish tasks. The usual complaints about shift rotations had stopped. People were even eating meals together instead of alone. "There's more," Dr. Nira said quietly. The psychological evaluation results came back. Wu spent over 3 months alone on a death planet. He watched his friends die. He nearly died himself multiple times. But his stress levels are normal. His mental health is excellent. How? Purpose. He never stopped believing someone would come for him. And even alone, he kept working, kept surviving, kept honoring his dead friends. Humans don't give up. Across the galaxy, Lee Suk stared at the star chart spread across her kitchen table. Her brother's ship was 3 months overdue, and the authorities had already declared it lost. But Suk wasn't ready to give up. The engine logs show they were heading for the outer rim, she told her friend Park Hana, who worked for the shipping company. "The last signal came from this sector." Hana looked worried. "Suk, that's hegemony space. Humans aren't welcome there. If they went off course, then we go find them." Sook's voice was firm. Wu wouldn't leave me behind. I won't leave him. We don't have ships that can make that journey. Then we'll find some that can. Sook had already mortgaged her house, sold her business, and cashed in her retirement savings. She had enough money to hire a search ship, maybe two. It wasn't much, but it was what she could do. By the end of the week, Sook had more help than she expected. Other families with missing ships joined her cause. Workers from Wu's mining company contributed money. Even strangers who heard the story offered assistance. Humans take care of their own, Sook told the reporter who came to interview her. We don't leave people behind. Ever. Back on Healing Light, Ambassador Krixtal arrived to begin formal first contact procedures. The Altruian diplomat was old and experienced, but he had never met a human before. The creature is remarkable, he reported to his superiors after the first meeting. Kang Wu has been cooperative, honest, and surprisingly sophisticated for a member of such a young species. But there are concerns. What kind of concerns? Came the reply. He's too adaptable. Humans learn fast, work hard, and form strong emotional bonds. If their entire species is like this, they could become a significant force in galactic politics very quickly. Is that bad? Krixtal watched through the window as Wu helped the crew load supplies. The human was laughing at something Engineer Tallmax had said, but his eyes were always alert, always watching, learning. I'm not sure yet, the ambassador admitted. The breakthrough came when Dr. Nira showed Wu the ship's computer systems. She was trying to explain how Altruian technology worked, but Wu was asking questions she didn't expect. Why does the power flow through 17 different regulators? Wu asked. On human ships, we use 3. More efficient. The redundancy prevents system failures. But what happens when the regulators themselves fail? Too many parts means more things that can break. Dr. Nira paused. She had never thought about it that way.
How would humans solve this?
Wu drew a simple diagram on a piece of paper. Make each regulator stronger instead of using more of them, and give them multiple functions so if one breaks, the others can cover for it. Dr. Nira stared at the diagram. It was elegant in its simplicity. This could improve efficiency by 30%. Maybe 40, Wu said. But I'd need to see the actual systems to be sure. Within hours, Chief Engineer Tallmax was working with Wu to redesign the power systems. The human's approach was completely different from Altruian methods, but it worked. Better than worked, it was revolutionary. He sees solutions we never considered, Tallmax reported to Captain Veltari. Human engineering isn't as advanced as ours, but it's more creative. They solve problems by thinking around them instead of through them. Captain Veltari made her decision that night. She sent a coded message to Altruian High Command, requesting permission to open formal diplomatic relations with humanity. In her report, she wrote, "The human species represents a unique opportunity for cultural and technological exchange. They possess qualities that could benefit the entire Altruian Confederation: adaptability, loyalty, creativity, and an unbreakable work ethic. I recommend immediate contact with their homeworld." But she also included a warning. Humans do not abandon their people. If others of their species are in danger, they will come looking. We should be prepared for that eventuality. In his quarters, Wu was recording a message for his sister. He knew the Altruians would send it when they reached communication range with human space. Sook, if you're listening to this, I'm alive and safe. The Altruians are good people who rescued me from a very bad situation. Don't worry about me. But if you're planning some crazy rescue mission, please be careful. I know you, sister. You never could leave well enough alone. He paused, thinking about his months on the Death Planet, about the friends he had buried, about the spiders who had become his companions. I learned something out here. Humans are stronger than we think. We can survive anything if we stick together. And we never ever give up on each other. He ended the recording and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, his sister was probably planning exactly the kind of crazy rescue mission he had warned her about. Wu smiled. He wouldn't have it any other way. The single human had become a bridge between two species. But more importantly, he had shown the Altruians something they had never seen before. What it meant to never leave anyone behind. That principle was about to change everything. The conference room on Altruian Prime was filled with tension. Admiral Thexmore sat at the head of the table, his 4 hands folded as he studied the reports. Captain Veltari stood beside a holographic display showing shipping routes and accident locations. 17 ships, Veltari said. highlighting each crash site on the map. All human vessels. All reported as mechanical failures over the past 2 years. The pattern is unmistakable. Ambassador Krikstal leaned forward. You're suggesting these weren't accidents? I'm stating it as fact, Veltari replied. She touched a control, and the display zoomed in on engine schematics. Dr. Cho from the human delegation examined the wreckage from Dihun's Pride. The engine explosion was caused by a microscopic device inserted into the fuel system. Kang Wu sat quietly in the corner, wearing the blue uniform of an honorary Altruian officer. His presence at the meeting was unusual, but his first-hand experience made him valuable. He watched the debate with careful eyes. These devices, Admiral Thexmore said slowly, they are hegemony technology. Yes, sir. Specifically, they match the signature of sabotage tools used by hegemony intelligence. The same tools they used to destabilize the Corvan Republic last decade. The room fell silent. The hegemony was the oldest alliance in known space, controlling over 40 systems. They had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years through fear, manipulation, and overwhelming technological superiority. No one challenged the hegemony directly and survived. Why would they target humans? Asked Counselor Rixfell. Your species is barely space-capable. You control what, 6 systems? Wu spoke for the first time. 8 systems and growing fast. We've established 15 new colonies in the past year. That's unprecedented expansion, Admiral Thexmore said. Most species take decades to establish new worlds. Humans don't wait around, Wu replied simply. If there's an empty planet that can support life, we move there. If it can't support life, we make it support life. Dr. Nira, who had been quietly reviewing medical data, looked up from her tablet. I think I understand the hegemony's concern. Based on my analysis of human biology and psychology, your species has the potential to become a major galactic power within a generation. We just want to live and work in peace, Wu said. That's exactly what scares them, Veltari replied. Peaceful expansion is harder to stop than military conquest. You can't declare war on people who are just trying to farm and mine and build families. Krikstal activated another display. If the hegemony is sabotaging human ships, what are they doing with the survivors? The answer came from an unexpected source. Captain Bayek of Human Intelligence had arrived that morning with disturbing news. His ship, the fast scout Sharp Eye, had been tracking the same patterns as the Altruians, but from the human side. We found them, Beck said as he entered the conference room. His uniform was wrinkled from days of travel, his eyes tired but determined. Prison worlds, 17 of them, each one a death trap where they dump the survivors of the ships they sabotage. He activated his own holographic display, showing barren planets with extreme environments, worlds with toxic atmospheres, killer wildlife, impossible weather. The hegemony calls them natural prisons because escape is supposed to be impossible. Wu studied the planets on the display. They all looked like variations of the world where he had crashed. How many humans are we talking about? Conservative estimate? 8,000 people. Maybe more. The number hit the room like a physical blow. 8,000 humans scattered across 17 death worlds, presumably left to die slowly and alone. That's not possible, Admiral Thexmore said. No one can survive on those planets. We've classified most of them as uninhabitable. Dr. Nira looked at Wu, remembering his 3 months of survival on Keth Prime. Humans can. Some might survive a few weeks, Rixavel argued. But months, years? It's not possible. Wu stood up and walked to the display. He pointed at one of the planets, a frozen wasteland designated as Torvex. This one has underground thermal vents. Humans would dig down to find warmth and set up shelters near the heat sources. He pointed to another. This desert world gets sandstorms, but the storms follow patterns. Humans would learn the patterns and build accordingly. You're guessing, Kriksfell said. I'm thinking like a human, Wu replied. We adapt. It's what we do, Captain Bayek nodded. Our long-range scans have detected energy signatures on 12 of the 17 worlds. Artificial structures. Power generation. Someone is definitely alive down there. The implications were staggering. If thousands of humans had survived on worlds that should have killed them, they had essentially proven that humanity could colonize any planet in the galaxy. No wonder the hegemony was afraid. We need proof, Admiral Thexmore said finally. Solid evidence of hegemony involvement before we can take any action. I can get proof, Wu said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. How? Send me to one of the prison worlds. If there are humans alive down there, I'll find them. If there aren't, he shrugged. Then we'll know the truth either way. Absolutely not, Dr. Nira said immediately. It's too dangerous. I survived Keth Prime for 3 months. I can handle a few days on another death world. Captain Veltari studied the display thoughtfully. Actually, it might work. A single-person reconnaissance mission. Drop Wu on one of the worlds, let him investigate for 48 hours, then extract him. And if something goes wrong, Dr. Nira asked, then we'll know the risks are too high for a larger rescue operation. Admiral Thexmore looked around the room. Half the faces were worried. The other half were determined. Finally, he turned to Wu. Are you certain about this? Yes, sir. These people are my responsibility. They're human, and humans don't abandon each other. Even if they're strangers, people you've never met. Wu thought about the graves he had dug on Keth Prime, about Captain Lee and Park Jin and young Kim, about his sister Suk, who was probably searching for him across half the galaxy. They're not strangers, he said. They're family. 3 days later, Wu sat in the cockpit of a modified Altruian scout ship, watching the frozen surface of Torvex grow larger through the viewport. The planet looked dead and hostile, covered in ice storms that could freeze a person solid in minutes. Drop zone in 5 minutes, the pilot announced. Are you sure about this landing site? Wu studied the surface scans one more time. There, almost hidden in a mountain range, was a faint energy signature. Someone had built something down there, something that generated heat and power. I'm sure, Wu said. He checked his survival gear one more time. Cold weather clothing, emergency food, communication equipment, and basic tools. Everything a human would need to survive for 2 days in hell. If you're not at the pickup site in 48 hours, we come looking for you, Captain Veltari said over the radio. Understood. Wu sealed his helmet and moved to the drop pod. But don't worry about me. Worry about what we're going to do when we find out I'm right. The pod launched from the scout ship and streaked toward the surface of Torvex like a falling star. Inside, Wu braced himself for impact and thought about the thousands of humans who might be waiting for rescue. He had been saved by aliens who became friends. Now it was time to return the favor for his own species. The pod slammed into the frozen ground and Wu stepped out into another impossible world. But this time he wasn't alone. Somewhere in the ice and snow humans were surviving. He was going to find them. Wu's boots crunched through knee-deep snow as he followed the energy readings toward the mountains. The temperature was 40 degrees below freezing, and the wind cut through his thermal suit like knives. But after an hour of hiking, he found what he was looking for. A hidden entrance in the mountainside carefully disguised to look like natural rock formations. But Wu could see the tool marks where metal had been shaped and fitted. Someone had built this and they had done it well. Hello? He called into the entrance. I'm human. My name is Kang Wu. Silence. Then footsteps echoing from deep inside the mountain. A woman appeared from the shadows holding a makeshift spear. She was thin but looked strong, with scars on her face and hands that spoke of years of hard survival. Her eyes were suspicious but alert. Prove it, she said in Korean. Wu smiled and removed his helmet. I'm from the mining ship Dihan's Pride. We crashed 4 months ago near the Outer Rim. I was rescued by Altruian naval forces and came here looking for other survivors. The woman studied his face, then his equipment, then his posture. Whatever she saw convinced her because she lowered the spear. I'm Kim Hana, former colonial administrator of New Seoul Colony. She gestured behind her. You'd better come inside. The storm season starts in a few hours, and you don't want to be caught outside during that. The tunnel led deep into the mountain, lit by electrical cables strung along the walls. The cables were obviously salvaged from crashed ships, but someone had rewired them with skill and creativity. How many of you are there? Wu asked as they walked. Here? 43. But we're in contact with 2 other groups. The Busan survivors found an old mining station in the southern continent. The Daegu group built their settlement in the geothermal valleys. Wu stopped walking. There are more? Much more. We estimate about 200 humans total on this world alone, maybe more in the northern regions where we can't reach. They emerged into a vast underground cavern that had been converted into a small city. Gardens grew under artificial lights. Workshop areas hummed with activity. Children played in areas marked as safe zones. Adults worked on various projects, from clothing repair to electronics assembly. This is incredible, Wu breathed. 3 years of work, Hana said with pride. When the hegemony dumped us here, they expected us to die within weeks. Instead, we found the thermal vents, figured out the weather patterns, and learned to make this place home. An old man approached them, walking with a cane made from ship parts. "Hana, who's our visitor?" "Dr. Cho, meet Kang Wu. He says he was rescued by aliens." Dr. Cho's eyes widened. "Rescued? Someone actually came looking for survivors?" "The Altruians," Wu explained. "They found me by accident, but when they learned what was happening to humans, they decided to help. There's a joint task force forming to rescue everyone from all the prison worlds." The cavern fell silent as people stopped their work to listen. Wu found himself surrounded by faces that showed hope for the first time in years. "How many worlds?" Dr. Cho asked quietly. 17 that we know of. Maybe 8,000 people total. That's everyone who disappeared," someone whispered. Hana's hands were shaking. "You mean we're not forgotten? Someone is coming for us?" "I'm here, aren't I?" Wu said with a smile. The celebration lasted half the night. People who had given up hope now had something to believe in. But Wu also learned disturbing news. The hegemony wasn't just abandoning humans on death worlds. They were actively monitoring the prison planets to prevent any escape attempts. "Patrol ships come by every few months," Dr. Cho explained. "If they detect any large-scale activity or unusual energy signatures, they send down hunter teams. That's why we stay hidden, keep our communities small, avoid anything that might attract attention." "How long before they check this world again?" 6 weeks, maybe 8. Wu nodded. That gave the rescue task force a narrow window to work with. "I need to get back and report what I found. But I'll return, I promise. We'll be ready," Hana said. 2 days later, Wu stood in the command center of the Altruian battleship Rising Justice. Admiral Veltari had been promoted and given command of the joint human-Altruian rescue force. The ship's briefing room was packed with officers from both species, all studying holographic displays of the 17 prison worlds. "The reconnaissance confirms our worst fears," Veltari announced. "All 17 worlds show signs of human habitation. Conservative estimates suggest we're looking at rescuing between 6 and 10,000 people." Commander Yoon of the human fleet leaned forward. "What kind of time frame are we working with?" 6 weeks maximum before hegemony patrols return to the first target worlds. After that, they'll know we're coming." Engineer Lim raised her hand. "The logistics are nightmare. We're talking about simultaneous operations across 17 different star systems, each with unique environmental challenges. Which is why we need to adapt our approach for each world," Wu said. He had been given a special advisor position despite his lack of formal military rank. "Humans have learned to survive on each planet by understanding its specific dangers and opportunities. We need to do the same." Captain Beck activated a new display. "We've identified the key challenges for each operation. Transport capacity, hostile environments, hegemony patrol schedules, and extraction timeframes. The most difficult will be the worlds where survivors are scattered across multiple continents." "How do we coordinate something this complex?" asked Pilot Nam. Admiral Veltari smiled grimly. "We don't, we make it simple. Each world gets a mixed human-Altruian team. Humans for ground operations and survival expertise. Altruians for technology and space support. Every team operates independently but reports to Central Command." Wu studied the mission assignments. "I want to lead the advance reconnaissance for all 17 worlds." "That's impossible," Dr. Nira protested. "The physical strain alone would kill you." "Not if we do it right." Wu turned to Engineer Lim. "How fast can you modify drop pods for solo insertion?" "A week, maybe 2, but you're talking about visiting 17 death worlds in 6 weeks. The travel time alone." "We'll use jump-capable scouts," Admiral Veltari said, understanding Wu's plan. "Insert him on each world. Let him locate and organize the survivors, then extract him for the next mission. He'll be our advance coordinator." "It's never been attempted," Commander Yoon said. "Neither has a rescue operation of this scale," Wu replied. "But humans specialize in doing things that have never been done before." Over the following weeks, the rescue force grew beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Altruian ships provided advanced cloaking technology and medical facilities. Human vessels contributed specialized landing craft and survival equipment. Hybrid designs combined the best of both technologies. The most innovative development came from an unexpected source. Engineer Lim had been studying Wu's survival techniques and realized that human adaptability could be enhanced with Altruian technology. She developed what became known as survival suits, environmental armor that could adapt to any planetary conditions while maintaining life support. The suit learns from the wearer's experience, she explained during a demonstration. If Wu encounters a new toxin, the suit analyzes his biological response and develops countermeasures. If he faces extreme temperatures, the suit adapts its heating and cooling systems. Dr. Nira added medical enhancements, biomonitors, automated first aid, and communication systems that work regardless of atmospheric conditions. Each suit is essentially a portable life support system. But the real breakthrough came when human and Altruian tactical specialists began working together. They discovered that human small unit tactics combined with Altruian precision technology created something entirely new. Humans think three-dimensionally about survival, explained Captain Beck during a training exercise. They see opportunities where other species see only obstacles. Combined with Altruian sensor technology and weapon systems, it's incredibly effective. The training camps on 3 different worlds became crucibles where 2 species learned to work as one. Altruian soldiers learned human concepts like adaptive thinking and never leave anyone behind. Human Marines discovered the precision and coordination that came from Altruian discipline. Wu moved between the camps, sharing his experiences from the prison worlds and helping both species understand what they would face. Each world would be different, but certain principles remained constant. The survivors have been fighting to stay alive for years, he told one mixed unit. They know their planets better than any scan or survey. Listen to them. Learn from them. And remember that they've already proven humans can survive anywhere. As the 6-week deadline approached, the rescue fleet assembled in deep space beyond hegemony sensor range. 47 ships from 2 species carrying over 3,000 personnel. It was the largest joint military operation in galactic history. Admiral Veltari stood on the bridge of Rising Justice, watching the fleet formations on her tactical display. Beside her, Wu checked his survival suit one final time. "Are you ready for this?" she asked. Wu thought about Hana and Dr. Cho, still waiting in their mountain fortress on Torvex. About the thousands of other humans scattered across 17 worlds. People who had been written off as dead by the galaxy but had refused to give up. The rescue began at dawn, Galactic Standard Time across 17 different worlds. On Torvex, Wu materialized in the mountain cavern where Kim Hana waited with her people. The advanced teleporter technology made insertion silent and precise, but the real work was just beginning. "Status report," Wu said as he activated his suit's communication array. 237 confirmed survivors, Hana replied. The southern group made it through the ice storms. Northern settlements are ready for pickup. Through his helmet display, Wu could see similar reports coming in from the other 16 worlds. On the desert planet Morhai, Captain Bayek had found humans living in crystal caves they had carved from the mountains. On the toxic swamp world of Kefler, Commander Yoon discovered an entire floating city built on the backs of tamed sea creatures. Each world told the same story. Humans had not just survived, they had adapted, innovated, and thrived. But the hegemony was not going to let them go easily. "Incoming ships," Admiral Veltari's voice crackled through the communication system. 3 hegemony battle cruisers dropping out of hyperspace near Torvex. "They're early," Wu cursed under his breath. The patrol schedule had changed, which meant the hegemony suspected something. "How long until they reach the surface?" 20 minutes. "Can you get everyone to the extraction points?" Hana was already moving, shouting orders to her people. 3 years of survival had taught them to move fast when danger threatened. The entire underground city began evacuating through carefully planned routes. "We'll make it," Wu told Veltari. But the other worlds need to know the timeline just accelerated. Across the galaxy, 17 rescue operations shifted into overdrive. What was supposed to be a careful, coordinated extraction became a desperate race against time. On Brixton, where sulfur storms raged constantly, Engineer Lim led her team through toxic winds to reach 3 separate human settlements. The survivors had learned to predict the storm patterns with incredible accuracy, guiding the rescue ships through safe corridors that existed for only minutes at a time. "How did you know the storm would break here?" Lim asked as they loaded refugees into the transport ships. 3 years of watching the sky," replied Park Jin, the settlement leader. "Humans learn fast when their lives depend on it." On the radiation-soaked world of Dartek, Dr. Nira discovered something that amazed even her scientific mind. The human survivors had not only adapted to the radiation, they had learned to use it. Their settlement generated power from radioactive materials that would kill most species. Impossible, she muttered, studying her scanner readings. No, said Dr. Cho, who had somehow ended up on this world after Wu last saw him. Just human. The real surprise came on Keth Prime, where this whole story had started. The world Wu had crashed on 4 months ago was not just home to scattered survivors. It was home to the largest human population on any of the prison worlds. Over 3,000 people had been dumped there over the years, and they had built what could only be called a city. This is incredible, Captain Veltari said, as her ship descended through the atmosphere. The human settlement sprawled across the plain where Wu had first learned to survive. Gardens, workshops, even schools for the children who had been born in exile. But leading the settlement was a familiar face. Park Jin, Wu's old supervisor from Dihan's Pride, stood at the landing pad wearing clothes made from local materials and a smile that said he had never stopped believing. Took you long enough, he said when Wu stepped off the rescue ship. Jin, how? The explosion threw me clear of the ship. Took me 2 days to find the main crash site, but by then you were gone. Found your note, though, the one about building shelter near the thermal vents. Good advice. Wu looked around at the thriving settlement, at the thousands of faces turned toward the rescue ships. You did more than survive. You built a civilization. We built hope, Jin replied. Hope that someone would remember us. Hope that humans don't abandon each other. But even as the rescues proceeded, the hegemony response grew more organized. Battle fleets converged on the prison worlds, determined to prevent what they saw as a dangerous precedent. If humans could rescue their people from death worlds, what would stop other species from challenging hegemony authority? The battle for Morhai became the largest space combat in decades. Hegemony dreadnoughts faced off against the combined human Altruian fleet, while ground teams raced to extract the final groups of survivors. Admiral Veltari commanded the fleet action from Rising Justice, her tactical displays showing ships maneuvering in 3 dimensions around the crystal planet below. All rescue transports clear of Morhai surface, came the report. But we have a problem. Hegemony reinforcements incoming. Looks like half their battle fleet. How many ships? 67 confirmed contacts. More jumping in every minute. The rescue fleet was outnumbered 3-1, but they had advantages the hegemony didn't expect. Human tactical thinking combined with Altruian technology created strategies that confused and frustrated the enemy. They're not fighting like any species we know, reported one hegemony commander. Their battle formations keep changing. They're unpredictable. What the hegemony didn't understand was that humans fought like they survived, by adapting constantly, never giving up, and always looking out for each other. When the hegemony tried to cut off the rescue ships from Kefler, human pilots performed maneuvers that should have been impossible, slipping through enemy formations while Altruian gunners provided covering fire with surgical precision. When enemy forces landed on Dartek to prevent the evacuation, they found that 3 years of radiation exposure had given the human survivors an advantage. They could fight in areas that would kill hegemony soldiers within minutes. But the turning point came on Torvex, where Wu found himself facing a hegemony hunter team in the tunnels beneath Hana's mountain fortress. Surrender. Human, the hegemony commander ordered through his translator. Your rescue fleet is outnumbered. Your people will die on these worlds as intended. Wu looked at the 8-foot-tall alien warrior, then at Hana and her people behind him. 3 years of survival, of hope, of refusing to give up. No, Wu said simply. The fight was brief but decisive. Humans had learned to fight on death worlds. Hegemony soldiers had learned to fight in space on civilized worlds against enemies who followed predictable patterns. Wu and the Torvex survivors didn't fight predictably. They fought like humans. When it was over, the hegemony commander lay unconscious in the snow outside the mountain entrance. His soldiers were tied up with cables salvaged from crashed ships, watched over by humans who had learned that sometimes you had to fight to protect your family. Extraction complete, Wu reported to Admiral Veltari. All Torvex survivors aboard the rescue ships. Confirmed. All 17 worlds report successful extraction. We're bringing everyone home. The journey back to friendly space took 3 days. In the medical bays and refugee quarters of 47 ships, over 8,000 humans tried to process the fact that they were free. that they were going home, that someone had remembered them. Lee Suk found her brother on the medical deck of Rising Justice. She had joined the rescue fleet as soon as the Altruians made contact with Earth, determined to be part of the mission that would bring Wu home. "You look terrible," she said, hugging him tight. "3 death worlds in 6 weeks," Wu replied with a tired smile. "I'm getting too old for this. Good thing you won't have to do it again." Wu looked around the medical bay where Dr. Nira was treating survivors from 17 different worlds. Humans who had spent years believing they were forgotten, now laughing and crying and sharing stories with their rescuers. "Maybe not exactly like this," he said, "but humans will always come for each other. That's who we are." The victory celebration on Altruian Prime lasted for 3 days. Ships from across the galaxy came to witness the arrival of the rescue fleet. For the first time in galactic history, a successful challenge had been made to hegemony authority. But more importantly, 2 species had worked together to accomplish something neither could have done alone. Ambassador Krixtal stood with Admiral Veltari on the observation deck, watching as human families reunited with loved ones they thought were lost forever. "The hegemony is demanding we return the rescued humans," Krixtal reported. "They claim the prison worlds were legal detention facilities. What did you tell them?" "I told them that the Altruian Confederation recognizes human rights to freedom and self-determination. If they want their prisoners back, they can file a formal complaint," Veltari smiled. "They won't like that." "No, they won't. This changes everything. Other oppressed species are already asking for our help. The galaxy is waking up to the possibility that the hegemony can be challenged." In the main assembly hall, Wu stood before a crowd of thousands. Humans and Altruians, survivors and rescuers all gathered to celebrate what they had accomplished together. "4 months ago, I was alone on a dead planet," he said. "I thought I was going to die there, forgotten and abandoned. But Captain Veltari and her crew proved something important. Kindness crosses species lines." He looked out at the faces before him, human and alien, united by their shared experience. "The hegemony thought they could break us by scattering us across death worlds.